You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All right, Dr. Steve Pieczenik, I wanted to get him on a few weeks ago about North Korea, where he's been. I wanted to get him on about funding Al-Qaeda. I wanted to get him on about messing with Russia. Because he'll give you a big insider, Council on Foreign Relations guy till he resigned. Exposes 9/11 as an inside job. Did the Camp David Accords. He's a psychiatrist and medical doctor. And when it gets to super spooky spooks, he's it. So he's going to be joining us. Co-wrote a bunch of books and movies with Tom Clancy. So Steve Pieczenik's coming in on for 30, 40 minutes. Then we got Max Kaiser popping in on what's happening with the bond market. And I need to be more professional. But one side of me says I should settle down and not be so angry, because this is not an act. I can barely do the radio show at this point, okay? I mean, I can barely even be here at this point. Because the insanity of them bringing Ebola patients in, letting it spread, not putting them in level 4 facilities, they're doing it on purpose. They are not inept. And people are like, oh, well, it won't spread that bad. I don't know what they're up to, but it's bad, okay? This is part of some big, nasty war they're about to launch. Just like the Fast and Furious in Benghazi and the open borders and the super viruses out of Latin America and the shutting down the power plants. And I don't even care about money, folks. I mean, I've always tried to have crew and members and build an operation and spend almost all the money that comes in on the operation, and all my employees pay taxes. Now they've got it set up where if I buy equipment and things, it's counted as like money I have. And so I'm like paying more taxes. I have to like make more money to pay taxes, not even to get money. This is new. This country's gone. I've got to go hire accounting firms like Arthur Anderson, basically, I've been told by lawyers, to play all sorts of games to even make any money. And it's not that I'm even upset that I'm not making any money as I bring in record amounts to run the operation. It's that this government's so evil that in America, folks, if you are truly upper middle class and you run an operation that costs over $10 million a year to run, that they've got it set up that if you play by their rules and you pay the taxes and use the standard, CPA firm, so you're bulletproof to not be audited, that they just take all your money and give it to the government, basically. They let you keep like 10% of it. I mean, what a screwed up nation. The United States is now 36th in the world. Came out in a big college study last month for economic and social freedom as well. We used to be number 1. We're 36th in the world. Folks, we're not a free country anymore, except for free speech. And now the stinking mayor is suing and subpoenaing a whole bunch of churches that criticize the city's plan to basically pay for sex changes and make the public schools have, boys and girls in each other's bathrooms. You know how much trouble that would have caused when I was in high school? I mean, I'm not a modest person, but I didn't like going to the bathroom when somebody else was in there. And that's really uncomfortable, to be in the bathroom with girls. And it's just these pervert weirdos wanting to mess with us. I mean, can't we go to the crapper and not have women in the day? I mean, this country's run by a bunch of mind control lunatics. I've had it with you people, with you freaks who want to run our lives. You want to dress up like a woman? More power to you. I don't care. But stop messing with our kids. Oh, man, I'm sick of it. Leave us alone. But they crave running our lives. They crave to Rachel Maddow and all these people. They crave telling us 2 + 2 = 5. They crave telling us we didn't build our business as they suck everything out of us. They crave it. They crave destroying this country. They crave it. Bunch of mentally ill people. Dr. Steve Pieczenik's going to join us. I'm going to try to settle down a little bit. But it's just as incredible, all the news we've got to cover here today. Infowars.com, prisonplanet.tv. If you're watching or listening to this transmission, you are the resistance. The experts are clear. Sunlight, purified water, healthy non-GMO food, and having a good attitude is essential to a healthy immune system. But I go further with Super Nascent Iodine X2 from InfoWarsLife.com. 50% stronger than our original and revolutionary Nascent Iodine formula, coming from a deep earth crystal source that no other supplier has. Most other forms of iodine come from seaweed in areas plagued by Fukushima and other contaminants. Not our iodine. It comes from over 200-million-year-old crystal salt deposits and is tested and proven to be completely pure. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today. See the informational videos. Read the information they're compiled. And for a limited time, when you use promo code NOW at checkout, you get an additional 5% off the entire family of InfoWarsLife.com products. Secure your Survival Shield X2 today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put two and two together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds, is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled INFIDEL bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Well, Ebola anxiety is growing. The UN says the threat of the virus might interfere with commerce and daily routines. It's even tied to global stock markets being down and a bulls running for the exits on U.S. treasuries. The yield on a 10-year treasury, a key barometer of the strength of the U.S. economy, fell below 2% for the first time since the Federal Reserve began talking about removing its monetary stimulus in May of 2013 or ending QE Unlimited or QE Infinity. Yes, it's not going to be infinity. Well, they're still going to give central banks unlimited free money, just you're not going to be getting it. Do you call it stagflation? Because you have a depression in the real economy and major commodities like oil, except for gold. That's up today. And you have a depression in the real economy in the West, but also in Asia to a great extent. That growth is slowing. But then you do have devaluation of currencies worldwide. And so that's inflationary. And they're trying to throttle the two back and forth to consolidate control. The central banks are not operating to build a bigger pie now. You could argue whether they were good or bad in their history. It's varied. But now, certainly, they are serving centralized interests that seek, under an Agenda 21, Cloward and Piven-style strategy, to depress the global economy, give themselves unlimited liquidity so they can buy up world markets. So it's economic warfare. It's a consolidation. And it's not being done like the British Empire with mercantilism or the French system to make its colonies be subservient and poor while making the empire rich. That is a parasitic system, but still it creates largesse for those who are culturally part of the empire or religiously part of it. This is a very centralized system, and Dr. Steve Pieczenik joins us to cover the waterfront. I know he's worked on the economy a lot and worked in big banking, been a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, helped run the successful Camp David Accords, co-wrote books and made films with Tom Clancy, ran psychological operations out of the State Department, advising the military and the CIA. For those that don't know how it works, the State Department pretty much runs it all. And so he is a spy's spy, and, of course, worked with the Bushes and James Baker and all the rest of them. So he'll give you his unique perspective. I don't know what it is yet. You can go to stevepieczenik.com. I've seen some of his views, but I want to know his view on what's happening in the world markets. Clearly, they stood down with Ebola, let it begin to spread. What is that about? About a vaccine? A political diversion? Or maybe he disagrees with me? What's happening with ISIS? What's happening with Russia? To cover the waterfront, Dr. Steve Pieczenik, North Korea, where he traveled last year, reported for us. Thank you for coming on with us today.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Alex. I don't know if I can bring you the good news. I can give you some of the bad news, some of the better news, but I'll try to do the best I can. Number one, Ebola is a real problem. It's a problem that's been outstanding for quite a while, and we've done nothing about it. Once again, as I said about our president, he's really quite failed in leadership, as you've seen repeatedly. More importantly, however, the CDC, or the Center for Disease Control, has really failed. And I think I would ask for Dr. Frieden, the director of the CDC, to resign immediately. He has been repeatedly wrong. He has given the wrong advice. He has approached it with very inappropriate comments.
And by the way, doctor, I should add, you're not just a psychiatrist, board-certified examining psychiatrist who's run major institutions. I'm not bragging, just your credentials. You're also a medical doctor on top of that, so you can speak to Ebola.
Yes, correctly. And more importantly, I was trained at Cornell University Medical College between 1964 and 1968 by a very competent infectious disease doctor who's really the foremost infectious disease doctor. And you see him on television. That is Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute for Infectious Diseases. And what I have recommended and repeatedly recommended is that Dr. Frieden of the CDC resign, that the CDC be placed on stand-down, because they really have no, they're not effective, they've been inefficient, and they have no authoritative capacity to demand either the city, the state, or any institution to do what's mandatory. Instead, I think that Fauci, Dr. Tony Fauci, should be given executive privilege or executive authority by the President of the United States, consistent with 1892 constitutional authority, on both military powers, if need be, because we no longer have the public health service, which is not functioning. We don't seem to have a Surgeon General that's not functioning. We don't have HHS, which is not functioning. So every civilian branch of our government has been dysfunctional, which is consistent with your argument. I don't know why you're paying taxes, because none of this is working. What is working, and I will tell you, and there's some of those the people out there who disagree with me, but I think it's important for me to elucidate, is that we have 4,000 soldiers that were sent into Liberia, Sierra Leone, and West Africa, not to control it, but basically to maintain and institute what's called ISR, Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance. Most of the drones that were used in the Afghan-Pakistani war are now used to fight diseases, and this is important now. The military has switched from a combatant role in West Africa to a very effective disease control and surveillance role, where we need the intelligence that the civilians could not provide, but our military generals, thanks to Martin Dempsey, has been able to provide, and General Williams in North Africa, and our brave men and women who volunteered to go to AFRICOM in order to monitor through intelligence, through surveillance, through data mining, and through training the Liberian army and maintaining a peace accord between the Liberian army and Sierra Leone, because these two countries that are replete with Ebola are ready to fight each other. So our soldiers are really in a unique position that we rarely talk about.
So you're saying it's a good move to send in 4,000 troops to cause, to stop civil war and to try to give intelligence, HUMAT, but also electronic surveillance